on Sunday, man? I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. Mean Bug.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like he got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell are you? Great day here as a Bucs fan, great day as a Bucs podcast. You guys are welcomed into the Buccateers podcast. I'm your host, Tampa Tones, and we got some great news here. We're going to have the great J.C. Allen from Sports Illustrated Game Day join the program most likely here in a little bit. So very excited to have J.C. hop on, talk about all the latest and greatest news. Bucs bringing back Lavonte David. Bucs bringing back Chase Edmonds. A lot of rumors flying around the NFL, the 813, and so much more. Without further ado, we're going to bring in the great J-Lo's. Bucs Raised Bolts is fired up. Love re-signings. How about you? Bucs re-signed David. Love it. Yeah, it's been an incredible 48 hours or so for Bucs fans. J-Lo, what say you, brother?
No, definitely. It was a long time coming for Lavonte David to get re-signed.
J-Lo, we could barely hear you a little bit over there if you don't mind talking up a little bit, but glad to have you, brother. Stunna, what say you? What are your thoughts on the entire situation?
Man, I'm just so excited. Big Lavonte David fan. So glad that he'll be back with us. Just excited for the future, man. I really think we're a couple free agents or draft picks away from making a serious run in that Super Bowl.
And the Bucs are cleaning up here in the early hours of free agency. We're taking care of our own. We got Lavonte David back today. The news broke late last night. We did get Chase Edmonds back as well. Grizz says it's a good day in Tampa. Nothing flashy, but the foundation is strong. I agree with you, Grizz. And plus, now that we kind of brought our core band back together, the guys we really want back together, I think it's time to make a couple moves here tonight or tomorrow. Bucs are a big team to wait until it's officially the deadline, then they announce something. But I wouldn't be shocked if something from the outside happens tonight. Stunna, what say you on the whole situation before we get to the Chase Edmonds signing quick? How long do you think until the Bucs attack the outside free agent market?
Well, they'll probably get it done. They'll probably start either at the end of this week or beginning of next week looking for guys outside the building. I think we know that we're bargain shopping, and I think that's been good to us in the past. We don't sign the level 1 free agents, but look for them level 2s or 3s. I think we signed Chase Edmonds indicates that we're going to go in the draft for RB2, and I think that we need to find a corner, and I also think we need to find a D tackle, and I think we still need to address interior line. And those 3 positions need to be addressed in free agency or through the draft.
And if people have been familiar with the pod, if people have watched the pod, Stunna, we've been proponents of bringing back Edmonds and easing him into the RB3 role, starting as RB2, drafting a running back. So this has been the Buccateers' MO, this strategy with the bringing back Edmonds. J-Lo, what say you on the whole thing? You know more than anyone that's been our banging of the drum. Bring back Edmonds, start him as RB2, convert him to RB3, bring in a rookie, and have him mentor him.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. A little low, but we could hear you. I think we're trying to get J-Lo in the building here. Not.
When you said you hear me now, I thought you were going to say good.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, thank you. No, bringing Edmonds back, I think, was a good pickup. I like how we're bringing our own back that's familiar with the team, the teammates. And I'm with Stunna. I think we'll draft an RB2 because there's plenty of talent in the draft for running backs, in my opinion.
And Bucks Raise Bolt says get Jordan Whitehead or Clowney or Gilmore. Stun, if we could get one of those three, Jadeveon Clowney, Stephon Gilmore, or bring back Jordan Whitehead, which of those three would be your preferred option?
I prefer Stephon Gilmore. I think we need to get the edge rusher with our first pick. I think we've done a good job drafting D linemen with our first pick and the last draft. I think we kind of messed up on the edge the year before, and we took the best player available. He just didn't really pan out. But we definitely need an edge. We definitely need another interior lineman. We definitely need a corner, and I would rather go with a veteran there. And we definitely need interior lineman, offensive line, and another running back.
You're right, Son, and definitely need corner after the departure of Carlton Davis for a third-round pick. I expect corner to be targeted early in the draft, maybe a cheap veteran free agent there as well, but we'll see if we could get Gilmore. As of now, Sean Tucker's still on roster as RB3. Bud Cannibalist says, first off, welcome back, Bud. Been a while. Hope all is well, my friend. It's incredible to have you back. Yeah, and we talked about it on the show. I don't think that's going to stick. I don't think Sean Tucker is a very effective running back. I think he'll be our practice squad guy. I don't think he'll be RB3 into the regular season. What did he show last year to get that edge? Jason Light and Todd Bowles both didn't really give him ringing endorsements at the combine, kind of said, hey, this guy's got a long way to go before he's an effective running back. J-Lo, what say you on the status of Sean Tucker? I think bringing Chase Edmonds back is a pretty good sign that Sean Tucker's ceiling this year is probably going to be the practice squad.
It really depends. He was a rookie last year, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He might end up playing a lot better this coming season than he did last. So you never know. I mean, he could be a practice squad, but I like him on the roster so far. I think he'll bring great competition to, the
I'm
back
sorry,
end.
I haven't seen a thing that says he's going to have great competition or bring great competition out of Sean Tucker. I think he's been very disappointing, and I don't think he's been good at all. And no matter in fact, I don't think he even belongs in a top 3 running back spot right now, to be quite honest with you.
Well, maybe not right now, 'cause he didn't show a lot at all last year, like you said. But like I mentioned earlier, he was a rookie last season, so I think he deserves at least one shot in the preseason to see what he's got throughout training camp.
And I think we have breaking news in the NFL here. I think a big-time edge is off the board. Danielle Hunter to the Texans, 2 years, $49 million, guys. Ton of reactions on that. Almost 90 career sacks for the big man. Now he's in Houston. And funny, because Houston's prized possession, Greenard, went to he went to Minnesota, and now Minnesota is losing Hunter to Houston. So their top edges, their top linemen switch places, and now Bucks Raise Bolts is seeing it too.
Yeah, I don't really see a big edge market. I know that Shaq Barrett signed with the Dolphins, and I'm happy for him and his family. Sean Tucker, he seemed slow to me, and then he didn't. If you're going to be slow, you got to be a power back. He really wasn't moving the power with power either. I don't know, man. We really got to address our front because it really hurt us.
Well, another option in Hunter's gone, but Stunna, that's pretty good money. 2 years, $49 million. These guys aren't making.
The Texans are cleaning up. The Texans are cleaning up. I saw the Commanders made another move today, and so there's certain teams that are making good moves. But I think we learned from the past that when you go after those frontline free agents like a Swaggy Baker or somebody like that, sometimes you stub your toe with that, and sometimes it's best to get your best players in the draft, sign your own as free agents, and then get the second tier free agents to plug in the gaps for your depth concerns.
And we are on the Buccateers here live, breaking you all NFL news, all Buccaneers news, and so much more until the top of the hour with the great Stunna, with the great J-Lo. Texans defense should be nasty this year. Bucks Raise Bolt says he wants RB from FSU, and we also have a good Facebook presence. The Godfather, James Rubright's in the building tonight. J-Lo, you know much about the FSU running back?
Yes, I believe it's Trey Benson, and he has shown flashes at FSU. He wouldn't be a bad bat to add. To me, a third rounder at most, he'll go. He has some speed for the most part. I watched some of his highlights even during the football season last year. I wouldn't mind having him, but the highest would go is probably third round. That's probably my best, guess on it. But I could be wrong on that. But for the most part, he is a good back. I wouldn't mind having him here.
Yeah, and Grizz says Hunter literally took a hometown discount. I know he's from the Houston area, but if that's some sort of hometown discount, woof, that's a very, very hefty hometown discount, making 24.5 million a year. Bud Cannibalist says I'm more focused on quarterback, inside offensive line. I think we're gonna draft both. I think those will probably be our first two picks, Bud Cannibalist. And I think we could maybe add some veteranship in the cornerback area as well. Offensive line, we did bring Brandon Walton back as kind of that utility depth guy. And we have 4 out of 5 starters fundamentally sound there. I don't expect Aaron Stinney to be back. So I do expect to sign one more veteran as a backup, not as a starter, as a backup. I think Hainsey stays as a starter, whether it's center or left guard. And I think we draft our 5th starter, kind of like we did with Godecki and Mock the past couple of seasons. Bucs Nation, our guy says, let's go. Feels like Victory Monday once again. Stunna, is that how you're feeling after getting Levante back, after getting Chase Edmonds back, after getting McLaughlin back, all these big-time dogs that the Bucs wanted to re-sign? Do you think it feels like a Victory Monday here in the 813?
I think it felt like that when we got Mike Evans. I think everything else has just been like a bonus.
Baker didn't give you that feeling?
Well, it's like when you get a scoop of ice cream and then you put some chocolate syrup on it. We got that scoop of ice cream and then everything else just been syrup and sprinkles.
And now we're seeing former Bills safety Jordan Poyer is heading to the Miami Dolphins. And guys, I don't know if you paid attention yesterday, but the Dolphins got pretty depleted all around defensively. They got picked at. Their O-line got picked at. Now they're at him back, fighting back a little bit today. They do get Jordan Poyer, the former Buffalo Bill, stays in the division there, looking to compete. Bucs Rays Bolt says, looks like Eagles real winner. J-Lo, you talked about a little bit yesterday, your thoughts on the Eagles doing real well, and they continue to add here in this first little couple day period of free agency madness. And by the way, you guys are tuned into the Buccateers on YouTube or on Facebook. Please hit the like button on YouTube, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and turn the notification bell on. So that way, every time we come live, me, J-Lo, Stunna, whoever the hell it is from the Buccateers, you will get that beautiful notification. And please subscribe. It means the world to us. Be on the lookout for so many giveaways over the course of the offseason and so much more. Ask our guy Bucs Nation 21. He won one of the giveaways, a lot of good stuff. We've had a lot of good giveaway winners. But J-Lo, thoughts on Eagles winning in free agency thus far, according to Bucs Rays Bolts?
I mean, so far, Eagles had my attention yesterday. Today, it's the Commanders. If you look back, the Commanders just signed pretty solid players. Maybe not superstars, but solid players. I think it's a good start for the head coach over there. But as far
Dan
as
Quinn with the Commandos.
Yeah, Dan Quinn, thank you. Yeah, but Philadelphia, if Saquon Barkley stays healthy, I think he'll be a big contributor to their offense. Bryce Huff will be a big question mark on me, depending how he's going to be a full-time pass rusher. And another question is what are they going to do with Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick because they can't afford to keep them all.
The Saints are on the board in free agency. The Saints have made a move. It's been long overdue for them, but they don't really have a lot of money to play with. They've been playing kick the can down the road and not a lot of money left for them over there, but they do get some Super Bowl winning experience on their roster. The Saints have agreed to terms with former Chiefs linebacker Willie Gay to a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. So the Saints are on the board, last team in the NFC South, really doing something notable. J-Lo, thoughts on the Saints adding Super Bowl champion linebacker aboard Willie Gay as their first outside the box free agent?
I mean, He's got a heck of experience, you know. I think he's a 2-time or 3-time Super Bowl winner. I think he was on the Chiefs roster when they first won it in the 19 season, going to 20. To me, it's just more experience. He could end up being something big, but I just think the Saints are falling downhill. Adding one person is not going to change what's going on with them. I think they're getting old, and they're too much in cap hell right now to even go add a big time player.
And Gay J-Lo, he was on there for 2. He was actually drafted in 2020. So he just joined a year late for that first one, but still, your point's still very valid. 2-time Super Bowl champ. Not a huge pickup, but a winning pickup for them. Bud Cannibalist says, love all the re-signings. Poyer, a nice ad for Miami. If you guys like our free agent coverage, if you like the re-signings, keep up to date with it on Twitter, X, at Buccateers. BUCCATEERS. We've been covering all things free agency over there. Keep up with us on Instagram at Buccateers Pod. Buccateers Bonanza free agency coverage will continue Thursday. Yes, Thursday night. Gene from Buck What You Heard will be leading the charge. You could still find it on the Buccateers YouTube channel. I'll be in California, San Diego, but we'll have more free agency coverage with you Thursday night, 7 Eastern on the Buccateers Bonanza. And then Thursday or Friday morning, haven't decided what day or what time yet, we will be live from San Diego with more free agency coverage for Buccateers Bonanza. Oh, and then by the way, on top of Thursday night show and then Thursday or Friday's daytime special, the great J-Lo will be with you guys for a couple of shorts Saturday and either Monday or Tuesday, updating you guys on behalf of the Buccateers what's going on in free agency. Again, no full show on Saturday, no full show on Monday. We'll be out of the building, but we are going to come at you live Thursday night and then either Thursday or Friday morning. And J-Lo has a couple of short videos to chip in as well. Bud says the one that kind of crushed me was Derrick Henry to Baltimore. Stunna, what's your thoughts on Henry to Baltimore? Do you think that's an effective move in free agency?
The way I get it, they targeted him from jump. Like when the free agency started, that's who they targeted. So it's hard to overcome that. I definitely wanted Derrick Henry. I've been a fan of his since he was at Yulee, Florida, as a high school running back. But you got to be selective, and it's hard. Just like in recruiting, I want everyone to sign with the University of Miami. Sometimes they don't even ever commit. They just Alabama all the way, and you never even get a chance at some guys. So it's like that in football. We got to find younger running backs. We have to find someone to complement Rashard White. And quite honestly, Baltimore might be losing their window. They really should have went last year. So maybe they feel like they're going to try to make another run. But if they lose too many more players off that defense, like a Patrick Queen, etc., I think they might have lost their window of opportunity to make a run at the Super Bowl.
Little update on Daniel Hunter's contract with his home team, Houston Texans. 48 of the 49 million is guaranteed. Just 1 million not guaranteed. Kind of crazy. Thought Saints interested in Chase Young too. A lot of teams interested in Chase Young. He has the Titans, the Saints, the Panthers, probably a couple other interviews lined up. He feels like the old free agency, right? He's going city to city, town to town, team to team, meeting with these guys, looking to latch on somewhere. Chase Young, kind of like a modern day Jadeveon Clowney. Clowney, a free agent as well. Tom Krasnicki said, hey, he might be a guy the Bucs keep their eye on. Last one, signed free agent, Bucs or Cowboys. Cowboys are going to be the last because they are out of money. They're going to have to pay Dak $60 million a year. They're clearing cap. You could tell already. If they weren't trying to hold back on money, they would have made a running back signing by now. Joe Mixon got traded to the Texans today for unconditional 7th-round pick, so he's off the board. Aaron Jones went to the Vikings today. He's off the board, as we alluded to. Derrick Henry going elsewhere. Wins a boat parade. Christopher Cole, thanks for joining us. And if you guys don't get the reference, our great, beloved, underrated general manager Jason Light said, hey, we're going to have a boat parade if we're able to bring all these guys back. J-Lo, thoughts? Boat parade? Yes, no? I'm kidding. I don't really want one, obviously, but hell, pretty damn good job by Jason Light. But let's win a ring first, and then we'll do the boat parade, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it was pretty funny when Light brought that up at the combine about a week or two ago, and he, shout out to him, the front office, for signing all of our own again, and can't wait to see what he adds in the next couple of days.
Chance Devin White comeback 0.00000001. Only chance he'd come back is on the vet min if the Bucs are desperate, but I don't even see that happening. As Bud says, no, Devin isn't coming back. No, he's not. Hard pass on Chase Young. I haven't really heard the Bucs link to Chase Young, Grizz, so I don't think anything to worry about there. I agree, though. Hard pass. Here's a guy he'll probably give 1 or 2 years to too much money to, and he's probably not going to make much do of it. You know what's funny as well? If anyone's watched NFL Network of late, they do these things. They show these free agent frenzies, and all these guys have already pretty much agreed to terms in places. Like I've seen Saquon Barkley have a free agent frenzy yesterday. He's already agreed with the Eagles. Hopefully, Panthers overpay him like everyone else agreed. Hopefully, they do overpay Chase Young like everyone else. That would be good stuff there. We had JC Allen and briefly. He's out now. We'll see if we could get him back. Working on getting the great JC Allen of SI game day in. But Stunna, out of your next in line to fall with the Bucs, what do you suspect to happen? We did bring back Chase Edmonds late last night. We brought back Levante David. Obviously, already brought in Chase McLaughlin. Not many guys have left the Bucs either. Shaq Barrett, yes, he went to the Dolphins today. For those that missed it, I thought he maybe had a chance at coming back, but man, he can make up to $9 million. I don't think that's money the Bucs could have matched. So outside of Carlton and Shaq, which we've lost, yes, we did get a third for Carlton back, but we also gave up 2-6. But Stunna, before we bring JC in, any thoughts on favorite free agents to possibly come for the Bucs?
My next move for the Bucks is an extension with Tristan Wirfs, and favorite to come with the Bucks. I think we talked about corner. I want Jair Alexander from the Green Bay with a trade or something because I know that he's not real popular with them, and I'd love to have him.
Ever since that coin toss from earlier this past season, he went out there, kind of screwed things up, got suspended the next game or whatnot. Now, speaking of suspended, he's back from his brief Buccateers suspension. No, I'm kidding. We got the great J.C. Allen in the building, one of the best in the business when it comes to Bucs coverage. We've had absolutely madness going on in the 813, and what better to tag team up with like the great tag teams do? You could call us the Young Bucks, you could call us the New Day, but we got the great J.C. Allen in the house. J.C., how the hell are you, brother? It's been a wild 48, 72 hours or so in Bucksland.
Yeah, Lights in his bag. He's cooking out there. He set out to do one thing, and that was bring his core guys back, and he brought those guys back. He brought Gaines back. He brought Edmonds back. Now it's time to kind of switch gears and open up a little bit more cap space with a Wirfs deal, with a Winfield deal, while still trying to get some value guys in here as well. They're not going to make a big splash, I don't think. They have enough room for maybe to bring a guy in if they make some extensions and restructures to bring in someone for around like $7 to $10 million. But some of the positions of need, the guards, you've seen the money they got. The edge rusher market is pretty much dried up. Linebacker isn't looking too hot either. A guy like Jerome Baker potentially could be an option if they wanted to go that route. He's a good cover guy. When you start to look at the landscape, there's guys, but there's clear needs on this team, and one of those is edge, safety, interior line, maybe even cornerback now. But I know they like what they have in Zion, and this draft is loaded as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Light and Co. in the front office switch gears now. There's a few guys left I think that they might want to bring back when kind of looking at their free agents. Maybe they decide they want to bring
JC
back, rest of that unit for the most part.
I hear you now.
Can
You
you hear
cut
me?
out. I want to ask you. Yeah, I could hear you. Real quick, better chance of coming back, Pat O'Connor, Will Golston in your mind?
I think Pat O'Connor. Just because, when in doubt, he can jump on the practice squad and come up. And I just think they want to stay kind of getting younger at that position. Golston did fine, but I think they're ready to move on and continue to stay in this youth movement with the team. So, I mean, the only other guys I'd really look at to bring back, John Wolford, I think will be a done deal at some point. Maybe Justin School, and we're talking about backups now, and that's really it. Maybe D. Delaney and Nick Leverett or Aaron Stinney on low deals, but they've done what they wanted to do. We're talking about veteran minimum deals going forward for the rest of those guys. They're on the team next year, and expect some moves. I would definitely expect some moves, probably at safety, probably maybe at edge, um, maybe at linebacker for some competition. Certainly an interior offensive line, whether that's at center or guard. But again, don't look at splash signings. And there could always be a trade. Now he's got some extra draft capital with that third. You never know what Light's got up his sleeve. But as far as big money splashes, most of those guys are gone. And I don't think the Bucs are going to do anything that big like that.
And JC, has anything really surprised you to this point? How do you feel about the late signings of Chase Edmonds late last night, Levante earlier today, and what are Bucs Game Day and Sick Media Podcast? What do you got cooking up for this busy week or two here of free agency? I know you probably got a lot of stuff going on yourself.
Yeah, so I think the figures that came in were right on par. With Gaines getting about 3.5 million, that seemed right on par. It's what he made last year. I'm sure Edmonds will come in as a vet minimum, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe 1.5. Levante certainly deserved a raise. I'm sure they'll use void years to kind of push some of that money out, bring that 1 year deal a little bit lower for this season. But Mike, after the real numbers came out, Baker. The way they structured that deal, an absolute masterclass. If he bombs, you can get out of it for that first year for 40, second year for 60, and third year you're probably looking at a restructure extension anyways instead of paying him that 40 million. So, they did. He's done a great job so far. Nothing really surprised me. I was a little bit. We talked about this a little bit surprised at the numbers as far as Mike. It was reported he wanted that Cooper Cup money, ends up coming in at 20.5 million with some very attainable incentives. The structure of the Baker Mayfield contract, but I figured they'd bring all these guys back, and that's exactly what they did.
And yeah, they're doing a great job to me as we got the great JC Allen from Bucs Game Day on a size Bucs Game Day that is, and also the Pirate Parlay podcast with the Sick Media Podcast Network. JC, I do want to mention this. He surely earned it. Levante sure as hell earned the pay raise, but interesting. I think his base salary last year was about half, but then with incentives, he made up to 7.5 mil or so. Now, being reported by Ian Rappaport, seems like his base is around 9 million. So, very well earned payday for Levante, very well pay raise for Levante. He earned it. But at the end of the day, kind of crazy seeing a guy get older, but earn more money.
Yeah, I mean, his play in the field did the talking, right? I mean, in contract years, some people are motivated, some people are Devin White. So, it's one of those things there, stuff that linebackers at his age really have never done before. 17 tackles for loss, the sacks, the playmaking, the forced fumbles, racking up the tackles, led the team again. He definitely deserves the increase in pay. And again, the Bucs will surely lower that cap hit this year by probably tacking on a void year or two to kind of spread that cap hit out. But when you have a season like Levante David last year, you pay. It's a what have you done for me lately league, but also what will you do for me in the future? And teams rarely like to give guys big money deals. Not that Levante, well, $9 million for an inside linebacker is kind of big money. But, at that point, what he's done throughout his career, throughout his tenure as a Buck in the community for the team, you reward a guy like that.
Yeah, and JC, you were on the other night before we get J-Lo and Stunna in to ask you a quick question. Guys, if you have a question for JC, come up with one. But JC, the other night I seen you on Instagram Live with Buccaneers running back Rachaad White, and he alluded to the Bucs trying to bring back Chase Edmonds, but maybe Chase Edmonds having a couple options out there. He was hoping to come back, but he was going to play the field. Kind of interesting. I believe I got out of it, or at least gathered, that Chase and Rachaad White were recently on vacation somewhere. Could you confirm, JC? And if so, kind of cool that the Bucs are this close. I mean, you see Baker and Wirfs going on vacation. You've seen Baker and the O-line going to the Bahamas last season, and now you see the running back room, Rachaad White and Chase Edmonds, taking a vacation together. Could you confirm if that was the case?
Yeah, Chase kind of brought a shot under his wing last year and kind of just, helped him be a little bit more, just show him the ropes a little bit more as that big brother, older running back. I don't think he necessarily got that last year. And Chase together, that was something that they bonded very quickly and made a really good friendship, and spent time with their families in the off season. And Rachaad White, he was in Texas having dinner with Baker that night too. So I mean, he was. I told him to put the full court press on, and couple hours later, before they even had dinner, Baker was a Buck. So I don't know. There's a lot of camaraderie at Vita Vea, Pat O'Connor, and Nadam Kasu. They just went on a vacation together as well with their families. So this is a really tight-knit team. The camaraderie, you could feel it in the locker room. You could feel it on the field. And, they transferred over, off the field stuff as well and doing stuff. I think Joe Tryon-Sharinka and Yaya have been spending a ton of time together, training in the off season. They're doing Pilates and limber. So it's a very tight knit team. The guys, they have their cliques, and you saw obviously Jake Camarda wearing a Chase McLaughlin shirt, repping his guy on Instagram earlier today when he got the bag. So this Bucs team, they're a close knit group, and they enjoy spending time with each other off the field, out of the building as well.
J-Lo, Stunna, any questions for the great JC while we got him? J-Lo, start with you. Anything?
Hey, JC, what's going on, brother? I was going to
What's up,
ask
J-Lo?
you, not much, brother, man. Good job on all the work you do, man, over at Power Parlay and all that stuff. I always appreciate your input on things.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Quick question on free agency. I was looking at some of the availability. I was thinking maybe a Kendall Fuller at corner, maybe a Julian Blackman at safety. Any option you think that might come at a reasonable price? I remember you were saying like 9 to 10 mil when it came to hitting, the free agent market.
Did we lose JC maybe? JC, do we have you? We might have lost JC momentarily. It seems we'll try and
Can you
get
hear me
him.
now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, so if you look at the free agent, I think we all identified.
Uh-oh. Not again.
I think he's going in and out, I think, full. It's like a radio wave we got rolling on right now. We'll work on getting him.
I'm back.
We got you again. Yep, I see you again.
I'm switching to my other screen right now. I've got you guys on my phone. I'm switching to my other screen to look at the list of guys I had, but it's not letting me, so I keep cutting out. But I think, we all identified edge rusher as probably the number one need on this team, with Danielle Hunter signing elsewhere, and them also wanting to get younger. So that would rule out guys like Jadeveon Clowney types, etc. So I think if you're looking for a splash that can make an edge rusher, not necessarily a splash, but someone who's around 30 or under. Emmanuel Ogbah was released by the Dolphins. He's had a couple down years, but still has been a decent player. When he's been healthy, he's lost a little bit of juice, but it's something that's not going to cost the Bucs a lot. I think Romeo 2 years ago is just obviously they drafted Aiden Hutchinson. And he's had some down years. Derrick Barnett, who was with the Eagles forever, went to Houston last year. He's come close to a double-digit sack season. Those are guys who had some down years, so maybe they take a flyer on. Maybe they're, see if they can resurrect their careers a little bit, get some more out of them. An intriguing option I think, would be Mike Donna from the Chiefs. Past years, I think he ended up with 6 sacks this season. But safety is the market where you're gonna just wait it out, right? There's a lot of quality guys in here that you could get next to Winfield. We've seen a couple of guys go already. Jordan Poyer just went to Miami. Geno Stone went to the Bengals. Xavier McKinney went to the Packers. But there's still so many quality safeties out there that the Bucs aren't going to throw the bag or throw cash at somebody when there's multiple options. It's one of these markets where it's a down year for it. Same thing with wide receiver, down year for wide receiver. And we've only seen a few signed. Daryl Mooney, Devontae Parker, a lesser signing, a couple of these other guys. So those are positions where you kind of wait for that second wave, I think. I don't expect them to be actively busy the next couple of days. They, maybe 1 or 2 guys they might bring in here for solid deals, but they're going to kind of allow the market to dictate itself, and then, they'll get some bargains here. Jordan Whitehead, everyone wants to ask about. Obviously, he's a potential option for the Bucs. Knows the system, knows bowls. The issues that plague Jordan Whitehead, everyone thinks of him with that big hit on Aaron Jones and that hard-hitting safety, but those issues with Jordan Whitehead are still present. Sure, he had 4 interceptions last year. Tones, we talked about this. 3 of them were in one game. But missed tackles were a big part of his game again last year. And that's not going to change. He's not, wouldn't say he's necessarily a liability in coverage, but he's not going to be great in coverage. And what you really want at that position is someone that can do both. They can play down in the box and give those hard hits, but when they drop back in coverage, they're also not a liability because of how much you like to play Antoine Winfield Jr. down in the box too, because of how disruptive he can be. So he would be an option potentially, but I think you really want a more versatile guy that can play free safety and strong safety interchangeable.
And I think, JC, you made a lot of great points. J-Lo, you got something to add?
How about a Jordan Fuller from the LA Rams? What do you think about him?
Yeah, that could be he could be I'm going to lose you for a second. So hold on one second. Let me look at he could be an option.
Don't worry.
So many.
Yeah, I know I'm asking 100 questions. There are so many safeties. And I know we can have at least one of those safeties to help Antoine Winfield Jr. out. Just no Ryan Neal, please.
Yeah, Ryan Neal, Chris Conti, the likes of those. I don't know what Bucks raise bolts mean. Giants sign wide receiver. JC drinking the Kool-Aid, Bud says. Our good buddy Kyle Houston says, "What's up, boys? What's up, Kyle?" Our good friend Matt Bauer joining us on Facebook. Thank you, Bauer. Huncho, we don't have long left, but better late than never. Quick thoughts here on what the Bucs have been doing, Hunch.
It's expected. Hey, how you guys doing, everybody?
How we doing, brother?
All right,
So
I'm good. It's expected. Jason, he want to retain our guys and keep everybody in house and take care of everybody in the house first.
Yeah, I agree with you, Hunch, and that's what he means. Isaiah McKenzie to the Giants, I don't think that's too big of a deal there. He was actually benched by the Colts. JC, do we have you back at all?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Any thoughts on that move?
I don't think that moves the needle much. I think he was a little bit more useful in Buffalo, but even then, they gave him every opportunity to break out, and he didn't. So it doesn't really move the needle too much. Obviously, reunites him with Brian Daboll, who coached him in Buffalo. Was part of that team as the offensive coordinator. So maybe they can get a little more out of him than the Colts did last year. But when you back to J-Lo's question. There's so many different options that they could go. I think if they're going to go corner, it's probably someone to challenge Izzy in the slot. There are a lot of outside corners. My first mock, I got roasted because I had the Bucs taking a corner. A guy like Enos Rakestraw, a guy like TJ Tampa, which would be fun. Tampa. There's a couple of other guys. Kool-Aid McKinstry might fall down. I think you start looking at cornerback in the first round a lot more just because, Jamel Dean will be entering the last year of his deal next year, and they're always trying to look one step ahead. And same thing with wide receiver. I still like to see them grab like a KJ Osborne or Josh Reynolds type, kind of round up that room and push, um, Trey Palmer. But they've got a lot of ways. I detailed that earlier in a post. They can open up about $49 million in cap space if they wanted to. Now, they're not going to do that, but they can open up plenty of cap room with extensions and restructures and whatnot. But as we're seeing, the market is starting to, starting to dry up at positions where they need linebacker. Safety is still very plentiful. Edge rusher, those are the two big ones on defense that they could use. And until the guard market comes down, I don't think you're going to be interested in any of these guys at the price that they've been getting. Jonah Jackson and Damian Lewis, like that's ridiculous money for those two guys.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was ridiculous money they got paid. The Panthers really put themselves in the cap hell, in my opinion, on that.
yeah, they did, and they really buckled their knee. And you've seen them sign a big D tackle, do a lot of money. Colts just signed a big D tackle to good money as well. Grizz says it's kind of refreshing that the Bucs actually have had guys worth bringing back and re-signing after so many years of guys not panning out. Yes, that's very true. Huncho, as you're here with us, you have any questions for the great JC Allen about the Bucs or free agency?
Um, Not really. Just pretty much if we were to bring any players in, a splash or a second tier, what guys do you have your eyes on?
I think you look at the safety group. I think that's where they maybe spend a little bit of money, but at the same time, just because there's so many guys out there, maybe not spend a little bit money, but bring in a name guy, just because there's so many out there. But at the same time, you are paying Dean, you are going to be paying Winfield. Do you want to get a cost controlled option? A cheaper rookie and maybe a veteran for that starting spot. Guard would be really kind of the only place I could see them spending a little bit of money. There's not a lot that moves the needle for this Bucs team right now. There's some upgrades you can certainly get. I got to bounce back in to look at my chart. Unfortunately, I wrote a whole article series of guys that could target.
Yeah, I know you had your great.
There's still some
I know you had your battle
value
plan.
guys that could get that could compete. Yeah, so there's definitely some guys that they could target for value. Guard a guy like John Feliciano. He's up there in his 30s, but he started most of the season for the Niners. And he's a guy who could be a good fit. Brian Allen would be a possible good fit for the Bucs if they wanted to take a chance. The center from Miami, who's coming off, and he hasn't struck a deal yet. Maybe that guy, they could bring him in, and he could be a good fit. Connor Williams, I think it is. Edge rusher, you're really kind of bottom of the barrel there. Linebacker, there's some guys still available. Like I said, Jerome Baker would be the one that moves the needle the most for me. Wide receiver, there's still a couple guys available. Curtis Samuel, I think, might be probably one of the bigger names they could spend time impact players. A lot of those guys have gone, and the guys who haven't gone, They're not going to pay those kind of money. Those mid-tier guys, the Van Ginkels, the Uches, they've already been signed up. So it's the Blake Cashmans, the Jordan Brooks, they're off the Willie Gays, they're off the market already. So we'll see what the Bucs do.
One more question, JC. I'm sorry to interrupt. Would you think they might make a move with Philly? Because I know they got two edges on the trade block between Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. Do you think Light might take a swing for that?
I think maybe Josh Sweat's more likely than Hassan Reddick. Reddick's looking to get paid a big deal. Again, they could have afforded a guy like Bryce Huff. They could have afforded a guy like Daniil Hunter if they really wanted to. They seem like they don't want to overextend, which tells you they definitely like their own guys, but they probably like a lot of guys in the draft as well that could potentially land that they feel like could make some good significant impacts. But I think Josh Sweat is someone who I'd be more, if I was the Bucs or just myself personally, I would be more likely to go after him just because he's under contract. He's not asking for a big deal. The Eagles are trying to move off from him in order to, and Hassan Reddick to get a different grouping in there with Bryce Huff. And obviously they have Nolan Smith, who they drafted, was it last year or 2 years ago? I think it was last year. So they have they've got some young guys waiting in the wings and young guys they're bringing in. So Josh Sweat makes more sense to me out of those two.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
As Pops chimes in on Twitter, and Pops says, what a difference a year makes to keep the band together and all these guys hanging out, and even wives supporting them, staying ready to see a game right now. And let's remember the roster is going to be fluid from now until opening kick 2. JC, do you think this has changed the Bucs battle plans for the draft thus far, free agency, bringing all these guys back, or do you think the Bucs plans really haven't changed much as of yet?
I'll be right there, baby. No, because I think the guys that they were going to draft are the guys that they're going to bring back are the guys that they're going to bring back. So it hasn't changed anything so far. I think it will start to change depending on what we see them do as far as outside free agent pickups. And, do they land a guy that can be do they land, do they feel comfortable with one of the edges left? Or maybe they make a swing for Josh Sweat. Do they, maybe that changes the way they look at the edge rusher position. Do they get a guard or a center? Maybe that changes, their draft path there. But as far as right now at this point in time, this was the plan all along. They had planned for this. They had started making plans for this in the beginning of the season, knowing that these things could come around. And they accomplished their first goal, which was to bring back their top tier free agents and two of their top backups. So, in Gaines and Chase Edmonds. So, from now on, it's how do we supplement this roster to make it better, and then focus goes on to the draft. How do we fill those remaining holes, and how do we refill, get these depth pieces in, bolster that at the draft. Depth is key at the combine. Rather, depth is key, and they're learning. Playbook where he started up in New England is they never really overspent on high quality free agents, but they got a lot of good backups in for $3-4 million and built their team that way, so that they were deep at any position. If somebody came down, it was truly that next man up mentality, and you had a capable guy there. One position I would probably look for them to bring in a veteran, and I'll have to look a little bit more. I really like Keyshawn Nixon. And I thought maybe a reunion with Sean Murphy-Bunting or maybe Kenny Moore, who's re-signed with the Colts. But I would look at corner to get a veteran cornerback in there just in case, even if they draft one with Zion, that they have good solid depth behind those guys, because corners seems like everyone gets injured there every year.
Yeah, and that's great points, JC. And we have someone say Quez Watkins, meaning will the Bucs sign him? I don't think the Bucs would give up any sort of draft capital for a guy like Quez Watkins. And Bud says SMB already signed. Yep, he went to the Cardinals, 3 years, $17 million. JC, what former Bucs signing do you like the most? We've seen Shaq go to Miami. We've seen SMB go to Arizona. We've seen Carlton get traded to the Lions. Out of all the former Bucs that have signed or got traded, who do you like the most to this point in terms of their landing spot?
Yeah, I think Shaq. Shaq to Miami was a good fit. He'll work there well as a rotational role in that defense, and him still being in Florida. I think that was a good fit. I think as well if they go play Carlton Davis a little bit more man coverage in Detroit, and he can stay healthy. That's a great fit. And we got some news coming out the pipeline too, man. Dave Canales gets a wide receiver, Deontay Johnson.
Really?
Yep, he got the and then they're trading the Steelers are trading Deontay Johnson to the Panthers. Not sure what the draft capital will be in return. And then
Wow.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Bucs fans' favorite, re-signed with the Eagles. So a couple other moves, safety off the board.
That
I don't think he's coming
Deontay
here anyways,
Johnson
let's be
trade,
honest.
we knew the Panthers were going to get a veteran wide receiver, but to me, that's a better one than they could have hoped for with the remaining ones in free agency.
Okay, so it's Dante Jackson, cornerback, and a pick swap for Deontay Johnson. We'll see what the pick is. But yeah, veteran wide receiver landing there. DJ Woonem's interesting. I think he's going to have a market that the Bucs aren't going to be in. But he had 8 sacks last year. He's another guy who's been on the up and with the Vikings. Obviously, direct. And they parted ways, obviously, with Daniil Hunter. Get out of there. Get out of there, baby. But so I think that they're probably out of that. If I'm looking at it realistically, I think like a Derrick Barnett or someone like that is more realistic for the Bucs if they're going to bring an outside edge. Maybe they take a flyer on Anthony Jennings. He's only 26 years old. Was with the Patriots. The last 4 days. It's really not a lot of production, but it's in a lot back too. When he was with the Broncos, so there could be kind of an under the radar sign that they could get.
And Grizz says, anybody familiar with DJ Wanamanu's game? I know he was a 4th-round pick from South Carolina a couple of seasons ago, and he's from Minnesota, so he's kind of finding himself on the outside in with all the moves Minnesota has been making. He had 8 sacks in 2 seasons, so pretty good pass rusher. He's on a season, off a season. JC, while we have you, not sure how much you got left, but any thoughts on DJ Wanham's game? I know he's meeting with some people around the NFC South, not the Bucs, but some of our foes.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to be out of their price range. He's got a visit lined up with the Panthers tomorrow. He's one of those guys who's kind of on the up and up. Had 8 sacks last season for the Vikings. I think that he's going to have some competition. I don't think the Bucs are looking for guys who are going to have a lot of competition for them. I mentioned it, but I think I was lost sound with you guys. But I think Derek Barnett's would be a name to keep an eye on potentially. Still, only 27 years old. He would be a potential fit for them. I think maybe an under the radar guy, and Anthony Jennings, who's with the Patriots last 4 years. Hasn't had a lot of sack production. But Shaq Barrett was kind of fell along those same lines. Not a lot of sack production. Maybe it's a guy that think that they can get get him in here and kind of coach him up to. But then it's probably going to be a starter by committee on the other side at this point of Yaya. I think Warnham would be good, but I just don't understand. I just don't expect them rather to make a splash that way. But we'll see.
Anything else in your cupboard coming, or did somebody have a quick question?
Yeah, I wanted to say, what about Hainsey? Are they comfortable with Hainsey, or do you think they bring him in some competition or more like a starter?
I think they'll definitely maybe bring someone to push him. But again, he's a solid center, and you don't want to create more holes on the roster. The ideally would be to find a guard, I think, whether that's to the draft or free agency. Probably a veteran as well at both positions. someone who's versatile enough to play multiple positions. They like to have that flexibility. So I think Hainsey's likely the starter. If somehow, Jackson Powers Johnson falls to them at 26, maybe they make a move. Maybe Zach Frazier's there in the second round at their second pick. That could be a possible addition. Maybe they take a flyer on a center late, like a Tanner Bortolini out of Wisconsin, someone like that. But you're really kind of, I don't think they're going to spend money to replace Hainsey. He's in the last year of his deal. I think maybe a draft pick to develop behind him and push him, compete with him is probably a more likely scenario. Or a veteran. Brian Allen's been floated around obviously a lot as a guy who played under Carberry and Cohen with the Rams. Was a starting center for them in the Super Bowl, but has been banged up, limited to like 12 games the last 2 years. So he's been floated around a lot as a potential guy. There's still a few other guys. I wish I could go back and forth into my free agent list, but like I said, Connor Williams, I think the center, if they were going to make a splash, Aaron Brewer already signed, Andrew James already re-signed, Mitch Morris already signed. There's really not a lot of guys left on the market that are really going to be true upgrades to Hainsey. More so, you're probably going to get someone in here to battle him, unless you are spending that first, second round pick on a center.
And free agency technically doesn't even start till tomorrow, isn't it? So at this point, you might as well just start it Monday. I mean, legal tampering, free agency start. You think we see that blend together eventually, JC?
I don't see how you couldn't. Within minutes of the tampering period opening, and here you go. People are already signing deals, multi-million-dollar deals. That's the quickest negotiation I've ever heard of. Unless, you're just offering a guy money and they can't refuse. But not many teams do that. So, yeah, it's one of those things where what's the point at this point?
I'm old enough to remember the midnight free agency bonanza that used to be had back in the day. I remember Albert Hainsworth signing with the Redskins at midnight and throwing the whole world in an uproar, getting out of hand there. But JC, while we have you, any work your way being had? What do you got coming down the pipeline for us for the Sick Media podcast, or your Pirate Parlay podcast, or Bucks Game Day SI? I know you're going to have some great coverage over at both of those spots.
Yeah, so I'll have my podcast out Thursday this week. We'll probably be talking about the moves the Bucks made. Obviously, some moves they could make, kind of like what we discussed here. Who knows what will happen between now and tomorrow night when I record? So maybe we'll have some new, fresh stuff to talk about, as well as all the recent things that they've done this past weekend since last week. I just finished up my free agent preview, which a lot of those guys are already off the market. I did my off-season outlook as well, and my mock off season, which is going great so far. But then we're going to switch right over to draft coverage. So we're going to be breaking down some of the positions, position by position with Bucks targets. We're not necessarily going to cover the entire draft over there. Not going to be talking about guys like Caleb Williams and Drake May and Jaden Daniels. There's no point. But we'll target some, potential Bucks targets in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh round, and then kind of put our stamp on who's most likely to be selected in day 1, day 2, day 3, just from what we're hearing and potential scheme fits. We'll start finding out top 30 visits out soon. Obviously, we have a nice comprehensive list courtesy of the guys over at Pewter Report of who had formal and informal visits during the combine. I'll start hearing a couple of rumors and whispers here as well to give you guys some educated guesses on who the Bucks might be targeting. So that will be coming out. We'll probably start that within the next week or so. Start, profiling some guys who could be good fits once free agency wraps up, and we'll have the day-to-day news break stuff that comes out. Obviously, everyone has their opinion about what the Bucks are doing, and we'll make sure we kind of highlight those and get those to you. Mock draft roundups, all that fun stuff. All your Bucks coverage needs over at Bucks Game Day Sports Illustrated.
If you had a letter grade for the Bucks at this given time, what would you give them, JC?
Probably an A-. I mean, they did everything they set out to do. You got your core back and your core and your core backups back. Your backup nose tackle, backup running back. Could they improve in both of those areas? Yeah, that's what the draft is for, to get a little younger. You made sure you had depth on the team, and that's the first start. So, yeah, I mean, Light has done well drafting over the last few years. He's done well in free agency over the last few years. You can't knock the guy's hustle. An absolute masterclass, one of the best in the biz. So, in addition to that, I'm very proud to announce too, and say that I've been published in Lindy's Sports Magazine for a Bucs preview. So go check out the NFL Draft preview. I detailed the whole Bucs roster from last year to this year, free agents, the draft class. As a kid reading that, to being that, have my name printed in there is definitely an exciting moment for me. So go get your copy today.
That's incredible. I'm going to get my copy. I love that magazine as
Congratulations,
well.
bro.
Congrats, bro.
Thanks,
That's
fellas.
one of those magazines you lean on for football knowledge and stuff growing up. Man, now we're going to have to start giving you the big contract, the Daniil Hunter type dollars to get you around
Oh,
here.
maybe he take a hometown discount. So
it works out in Florida. I don't have to pay those state income taxes. So
Yeah, fellas. Huncho, J-Lo, before we start wrapping up, any final words for JC or for the podcast on day 2 of free agency?
I'm good. I just appreciate everything. If you tune in on the supporting the show, man.
J-Lo, any last questions for the great JC before we close out and get out of here, as it is, what's today? Oh, yeah, we got NXT on tonight, I believe.
Yes, sir, we do. And just want to say thank you, JC, for coming on. Always bring great content and knowledge to the pod. And congratulations on your accomplishment on getting in on the magazine. And looking forward to watching more of your Power Parlay, bro.
And as the
I
great Grizz
appreciate you
said,
guys as always.
the Grizz appreciates it as well. Print, radio, web, YouTube. It's like Waldo trying to find
Everywhere.
JCL. And, you could either say it's like finding Waldo, or you could say, I guess it's kind of like finding The Rock, because The Rock's in wrestling now. He's in Hollywood still, but nonetheless, it's always a pleasure
Football.
when the great when the great JC Allen joins. JC, as we close out here, brother, any last words for the show, whether it's football, whether it's wrestling, anything you want to shoot shit about in general?
Yeah, always, man. Appreciate you having me on here. Appreciate chopping up with the fellas here. Just stay tuned. So, my Twitter X handle for more news, analysis, insight. I got some catching up to do. I missed SmackDown and Raw, so a little behind on rest. But
we won't blow it for you. Don't worry.
Excited for this offseason to continue.
Yeah.
Just excited to continue to see what the Bucs do, and obviously my Patriots do this offseason. And yeah, football's still going on, man. 365.
I think Patriots have made some interesting moves so far, with Jacoby Brissett rejoining the party. They released Devontae Parker. I think they've made some interesting maneuvers, JC.
They got Josh Uche back on a really team-friendly deal. Obviously, they still have a bunch of cap space left. I know they're trying hard to get Calvin Ridley, which I think would be a good get. But he's likely he likely to stay with the Jacksonville Jaguars, unfortunately. But then they have the big conundrum: what do they do at pick 3? So do they draft a quarterback? It looks like May's probably going to be the guy there at 3, with Jaden Daniels bumping up to number 2 from everything. They trade back? Do they feel comfortable with the Bo Nix, McCarthy, or Penix? Or do they just ride it out with Jacoby for another year and kind of see where that takes them? So it'll be interesting.
I got a question. Now that you mentioned that, I'm sorry. I got a question, late question. Number, what's going on with Caleb Williams and the Bears? Just quick insight.
Caleb Williams will be a Chicago Bear.
Yeah, okay.
He'll be a Chicago Bear. It makes too much sense. You reset, you're resetting the quarterback. And paying him, 20-something million next year. It doesn't make sense.
As Patrick Mahomes restructures, giving the Chiefs about 22 more million to work with over there. So just another crazy day in the NFL, and I don't think we're done tonight. I think we're going to start, keep seeing stuff
all right,
all night.
fellas. Always a pleasure. I got to run. I'll talk to you soon.
All righty,
Yeah.
JC. Take care. Stay blessed, brother.
That's a great JC Allen. Thanks for joining us. As the millions and millions head out with JC. But guys, we're going to be heading out of the building as well. Huncho, J-Lo, great stuff here on the Buccateers. Any last comments, words? And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn that notification bell on, as our great friend Neil says. But guys, any last murmurs for the show?
You go ahead. Take it away.
J-Lo.
J-Lo?
Yeah, I mean, fun couple of days. We got our quarterback. Now let's get out there and see what outside players they bring in. Still plenty of talent out there to go grab on low budget costs.
Yeah, we'll see what we do. And we know one thing, 3, 2, 1, touchdown, Tampa Bay. Fire the damn cannons.
And
go
like
Bucs,
we
go
trust.
Bucs. We got Levante back. We got Chase Edmonds back. We got Greg Gaines back. We got the whole band back together. So
Yes,
much
sir.
news happening in free agency. So many signings. I hope we caught you guys all up to date between the NFL and the Bucs in general. It was awesome having the great JC Allen on. Reminder,
Yes, sir.
Colts signed Raekwon Davis, D tackle from Miami. That happened not too long ago. And I seen somebody tweet earlier, Bucs and Colts haven't made any signings. And I'm like, give it till tonight or tomorrow, and both these teams will. Sure enough, the Colts go and do that, and I bet the Bucs do as well. And I heard something interesting on Calvin Ridley. I heard JC Allen say the Patriots have an offer out to him, but I know that based on contracts, for some reason, if they wait to sign Ridley, the Jaguars, they only owe the Falcons a fourth instead of a third if they wait to sign Ridley until Wednesday at the start of the league year. So be interesting to see where Calvin Ridley goes. Still a lot of great free agents left out there. Jordan Whitehead, Mike Edwards, Julian Blackmon, and a lot more. But it's been Huncho, it's been Tones, it's been Stunna, it's been J-Lo, and it's been the great JC Allen from Sports
Yes,
Illustrated joining the
In light we
Buccateers
trust.
here.
Remember that. Remember,
In light we trust, as Huncho says, and we'll be back Thursday with a couple of great shows, at least one show, maybe two shows. But Huncho and J-Lo, enjoy your nights, fellas. Go Bucs, fire the damn cannons, touchdown Trey Palmer. Go Bucs, fellas.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night, bro. Go Bucs.
Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Buck.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by Lead Goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little.
No, my camera's broke.